The protagonist, a skeleton, never expected to be forcibly recruited by a female demon lord as her subordinate. She even spared no expense in restoring his flesh, with the intention of later using him to create an heir for her legacy. The reason for this is that, despite being a low-level demon beast, he managed to defeat a high-level epic demon beast. In reality, Lu Li was originally the ruler of this game. Even the strongest player in the game was insignificant when compared to him. However, after finishing a PvP match and preparing to log out, a series of system interfaces suddenly appeared. When he woke up, he discovered that he was trapped in the game. Just as Lu Li was contemplating this, a smile appeared. It was the epic boss Rhine, a level 30 necromancer. Lu Li casually walked over and asked where he was and who he was. The boss was puzzled by Lu Li's ability to speak, wondering if Lu Li was some rare summoned skeleton. Thinking that Lu Li wasn't a newbie NPC, the boss turned around to leave, infuriating Lu Li. To force Lu Li to obey, the boss used hell chains to bind him. He mocked, saying he was teaching Lu Li how to become a good dog. With no skills or weapons, Lu Li was completely powerless, only able to curse the person who designed this script. Suddenly, the ground exploded, throwing him away. Lu Li had no idea what was happening anymore. Before him stood a massive monster, and his skeleton was nothing compared to its toenail. Calling Cece for help, he asked her where he was. Lu Li was informed that he was in the Pure Black Realm, home to the most powerful bosses in the game, a high-risk area. To continue, they had to reach a mission point 100 kilometers away. The road was filled with danger, but he had no other choice because taking a detour would add another 400 kilometers. While his life was hanging by a thread, he received a message from Afai. His younger brother excitedly told him various stories, but Lu Li quickly hung up to focus on swimming past the sea monster's mouth. Misfortune kept coming. After the fish came the centipede, and Lu Li was chased so hard that he almost soiled himself. After many struggles, Lu Li and Cece finally reached the mission point. The area was desolate, with flames burning everywhere. A large gate led inside, but the line of people waiting had been there for hours. Lu Li noticed another gate with no guards and wanted to go through it. Despite Cece reminding him it wasn't part of the plan, he didn't care. Any path was fine as long as it led to the destination. He rushed toward it, and the two gate guards, initially lenient, let him in without questioning him. However, they weren't being kind, they were just waiting to see how Lu Li would die inside. What awaited him was a deadly arena. While he was still at level 1, Lu Li entered the arena, and in front of him were rows of spectators. Just then, the MC's voice rang out, announcing the appearance of the final contestant. And that contestant was none other than Lu Li. When his profile appeared, the audience began murmuring. Some laughed at his level 1 status, mocking that he must have come here just to entertain. The MC didn't waste any time and quickly declared that the Feng Yun arena battle had officially begun. The Quick Rabbit and Chill Turtle would be the commentators. But every time the turtle tried to speak, the rabbit quickly spoke over him. The rabbit eagerly explained the rules. Knockout format, with the final winner becoming the champion. All contestants would be lowered to the lowest level, but no lower than level 10, and could only use skills appropriate to their adjusted level, with equipment provided by the arena. Defeat the opponent or force them to surrender. The winner would receive 500 experience points and a weapon appropriate for their level. After the rules were announced, the system adjusted the contestants' levels to 10, except for Lu Li, whose level was increased from 1 to 10. Lu Li silently regretted not following Cece's advice and taking the wrong door. Soon after, the system notified him of his opportunity to choose his starting class. Remembering what his older brother and Afai had said, he chose the assassin class. When everything was ready, the rabbit MC reminded the contestants to take their equipment. Lu Li was given a sharp dagger. The atmosphere in the arena grew lively as the rabbit MC introduced two special judges. Renowned figures, Wu Yu, the leader of the North Moon sect, who held half the combat power of Blood Moon City, and Zhang Wai Shui, the leader of the Moon sect, who managed resources and the hidden blood pool. She only took one disciple, Han Yi Tiao, the winner of 10 consecutive matches at the Feng Yun Arena. When Lu Li heard the name Han Yi Tiao, he was startled. It was his brother. And the reason he entered this competition was to find his missing sibling. His gaze lingered on Zhang Wai Shui, thinking she might know something. However, her uncomfortable stare made her almost ready to strike. Had it not been for the presence of Wu Yu, The Rabbit MC continued to stir up the atmosphere. Introducing the prominent contestants. Bloodclaw, the representative of the Blood War Mad Beast clan. Rated the highest for his ability to destroy enemies with a single swipe. Zombie swordsman Boiloy, the vice president of the Great Sword Guild, known for his speed and cruelty, and dual blade demon Gore, a figure from the wilds who had overcome numerous trials to get here. The biggest surprise was Lu Li, who was initially looked down upon but managed to win the first round, shaking the entire audience. In the semifinals, Lu Li had to face Gore. Gore sneered at him from the start, telling him to surrender, but Lu Li stood still, observing. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a Fai was sweeping through monsters with the help of his full set of skills. Around a Fai, two young girls constantly praised him, making him even more self-satisfied. But for a Fai, it was Lu Li, his older brother, who was the real pro. He had no idea how his brother was doing or whether he was facing any obstacles. Lu Li remained still after Gore's challenge, having no intention of surrendering. Gore arrogantly pointed his sword at him and sneered. It seems you still don't understand the situation. You've missed your only chance to survive. But don't worry, I'll make sure your death is quick and painless. With that, Gore unleashed Flash Slash, a move so fast that the spectators struggled to follow it. However, to everyone's surprise, Lu Li managed to dodge it. Gore, thinking it was just luck, immediately switched to another attack. But Lu Li dodged it effortlessly. This infuriated Gore, who then used his powerful Sky Cleaver. Yet again, Lu Li evaded the attack, leaving the MC Rabbit stunned. As he moved, Lu Li observed and analyzed Gore's fighting style. Based on his calculations, considering the weapon's length and reach, Lu Li estimated that Gore's attack range was under 200 centimeters. With his quick reflexes, Lu Li knew that if he maintained the right distance, he could avoid getting hit. After a few exchanges, Lu Li realized that Gore's next move was likely to be Swift Slash, a quick dash forward with a short delay. This was the opportunity Lu Li had been waiting for. The audience in the stands started taunting Gore, which only made him angrier and more determined to defeat Lu Li. When Gore unleashed his attack, Lu Li swiftly moved to the left, crouched down, and activated his Heart Strike, landing a decisive blow that ended the match. Gore couldn't believe he had been defeated by a level 1 player like Lu Li. The MC Rabbit was in shock, unable to believe his eyes. Could it be that the fodder player pretending to be weak had just defeated a powerful opponent? Trang Hoi Tui found the little skeleton interesting, but Wu Yu remained indifferent. However, deep down, she admitted that Lu Li wasn't boring, and she decided to let him live a little longer. Immediately after, the next match, considered the pinnacle battle of Fong Van Dai, officially began. This was a showdown between Frenzied Beast Bloodclaw and Corpse Swordman Boy Loi. As soon as the match began, Kwang Chao confidently declared, "You are no match for me." Boy Loi responded boldly, "My bloodline may not be as strong as yours, but as long as I still wield a sword, I will never retreat." Boy Loi unleashed Swiftwood Slash, a tornado-like attack rushing toward Kwang Chao. The MC Rabbit excitedly commented that this move was at least 5 times faster than Gore's Swift Slash. However, Boy Loi was shocked when Kwang Chao blocked his attack with a single parry. Kwang Chao then countered with Raging Force Frenzy Claw, delivering rapid, sharp blows into Boy Loi. Standing over his fallen opponent, Kwang Chao sneered. He had thought Boy Loi was strong, but it turned out he was just weak. Though Boy Loi had been highly anticipated, he was knocked out in one blow, leading the MC Rabbit to conclude that the championship this year was already secured by Kwang Chao. The audience in the stands erupted in excitement, continuously chanting his name. Trang Hoi Tui saw that Kwang Chao wasn't bad, but Wu Yu was dismissive of him. Meanwhile, Lu Li continued to observe closely. He realized that Kwang Chao had the ability to destroy his opponent's weapon, indicating that his basic attributes were far superior to the average. Suddenly, Kwang Chao turned to taunt. "Kid, come up here if you dare. I'm not done playing yet." Despite Kwang Chao's arrogant taunts, Lu Li remained focused, analyzing his opponent. It seemed like there was no way for him to win. But to achieve his goal of approaching Wu Yu, he had no choice but to fight until the end. Wu Yu, watching from the stands, looked down at him with an intrigued and expectant gaze. Lu Li, despite the difficulty, kept his expression neutral, determined that nothing would stop him from finding his brother. Ignoring all the words being thrown at him, he stepped onto the battlefield with a determined mindset to fight and win. The battle between Kwang Chao and Lu Li officially began. Kwang Chao sneered and spoke condescendingly. With just a few words of provocation, Lu Li charges headfirst. Let's see if I can use your despair as a sweet dessert after my victory. Lu Li felt extremely irritated by this incessant chattering but decided to press forward. With a swift move, he quickly closed the distance to Kwang Chao. However, Kwang Chao was still able to dodge just in time. He almost forgot that Lu Li was an assassin who had been hiding his true skills. After evading, Kwang Chao immediately counterattacked. Lu Li's speed couldn't compete with such overwhelming strength. Kwang Chao, noticing his own injury, felt deeply humiliated in front of the audience. His eyes flared with rage as he activated the passive skill Blood Battle Unleashed, greatly increasing his strength, speed, and critical hit chances. The MC Rabbit nervously commented on how Lu Li was managing to hold his own against Kwang Chao. Wu Yu found the situation increasingly interesting, as it was clear that Lu Li's level and bloodline were both at the lowest tiers. But Kwang Chao, now greatly enraged, charged forward, launching a series of powerful attacks. Lu Li had to give everything to defend, but the gap in attributes was too large, and he began to tire. He retreated, narrowly avoiding a deep strike, but lost his balance. Kwang Chao, thinking he had the upper hand, went for a finishing blow with raging violent claw. However, this was all part of Lu Li's plan. He had been waiting for this move. Just as Kwang Chao prepared to strike the final blow, Lu Li activated backstab, instantly shifting behind his opponent and delivering a deadly strike. But Kwang Chao had anticipated this and grinned maliciously, activating Blood Origin 1 technique and Blood Fury Lion Roar, creating a shockwave that paralyzed Lu Li's body, rendering him motionless. The MC Rabbit was stunned, explaining that this was the unique ultimate skill of Kwang Chao's lineage, which incapacitated enemies within a 5-meter radius for 1.5 seconds. On the stands, Trang Hoi Tui appeared pleased, praising Kwang Chao's strength and considering him for further training. On the other hand, Wu Yu only mockingly commented that he had too many disciples, but in her heart, she felt a bit disappointed, as she had felt some excitement, only to find it lacking. On the battlefield, Kwang Chao took advantage of Lu Li's immobility to strike a fatal blow. One attack severed Lu Li's arm, followed by another that shattered his leg. Kwang Chao, victorious, mockingly told Lu Li that he didn't need to surrender because even if he did, he still wouldn't spare him. Despite the dire situation, Lu Li secretly prepared for his final move, as it seemed that the trap was about to spring. Kwang Chao was completely off guard as he advanced toward Lu Li with a self-satisfied expression. Lu Li remained silent, focusing intently on every step Kwang Chao took. Kwang Chao stepped forward again, stomping directly on Lu Li's foot. But that was the exact moment Lu Li had been waiting for. With all his strength, Lu Li pushed himself up and threw his knife forward. At the same time, his previously severed arm suddenly moved, delivering a fatal blow from behind. Focused on facing Lu Li, Kwang Chao failed to notice the knife approaching from behind. Everything had been part of Lu Li's plan. He activated the backstab skill, teleporting behind Kwang Chao and delivering a fatal strike. Kwang Chao collapsed instantly, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Wu Yu and Zhang Wai Shui were both stunned, and the entire audience froze in shock. MC Rabbit was left speechless. After a brief silence, MC Turtle erupted in excitement, exclaiming, "Oh my god, this is unbelievable. It's been ages since I've seen such an incredible comeback." MC Turtle then explained to the audience that from start to finish, the match had been entirely part of the Cannon Fodder player's plan, aka Moonslayer. Down below, Kwang Chao groaned in desperation, but Lu Li had already decided to eliminate the threat once and for all. He leapt up, preparing to deliver the final blow, but was suddenly interrupted by Zhang Wai Shui. With a firm grip, Zhang Wai Shui crushed Lu Li's body into pieces. Lu Li regretted that he had been so close to finishing off his opponent. Fortunately, Wu Yu did not just stand by. She rushed down to the arena and caught Lu Li's nearly destroyed head. With a snap of her fingers, Wu Yu nearly blew the entire arena away, even causing Zhang Wai Shui to lose a chunk of flesh from his arm. Zhang Wai Shui, furious, screamed in rage, not expecting her to dare touch him. He swore that he would not let this matter end so easily. Ignoring his threats, Wu Yu focused solely on healing and restoring Lu Li's body. Once everything was stabilized, she looked directly at him, her voice cold but determined. "From now on, you belong to me." After fully recovering, Lu Li felt stronger than ever. Even the bones that had been broken previously now felt sturdier than before. Once the treatment was finished, Wu Yu returned with a threatening expression and turned to MC Rabbit, urging him to announce the results. These words made both MC Rabbit and MC Turtle break into a cold sweat. And they hurriedly announced the outcome. Moonslayer had become the champion of this round of the Feng Yun Arena. The reward was 5,000 experience points, a level up to level 15, and the passive skill Shadow Step, which increased agility by 20%. The next reward was a level 15 epic dagger, Bloodthirsty Ring, with a lifesteal effect, making it highly suitable for stamina-draining battles. Both MC Rabbit and MC Turtle noted the weapon's lifesteal property, making it an excellent choice for battles that relied on draining stamina. After receiving the rewards, Wu Yu reminded Lu Li to quickly join the Feng Yun trial. MC Rabbit explained that the Feng Yun arena was divided into two parts. The first part determined the champion, and the second part activated the Feng Yun trial. The goal in the trial was to survive for 8 minutes while eliminating as many players as possible. At this moment, Zhang Weishui was still angrily scolding Wu Yu, accusing her of being greedy and wanting to seize his military resources. Wu Yu, irritated by his insults, called him an old, rotten man, and reminded him that he had interfered in their earlier battle. She threatened that if he interfered again, she would cut off his military provisions and stop sending him equipment. Lu Li and the MCs, overhearing the argument, quickly decided to leave. He requested that they take him to the next round. Wu Yu coldly reminded him not to embarrass her and to kill at least 1,000 players, or else he wouldn't be allowed to return. When he entered the next round, a random achievement book was triggered, notifying him of a new task: eliminate 1,000 players during the Feng Yun Arena raid event. If he failed, the task would be permanently removed. Immediately afterward, Lu Li transformed into the time-limited boss Blood Moon Wanderer, drawing the attention of everyone around. Since he had reached level 15, his bracelet's power had also increased, making him even stronger. Several players charged at him, but he easily dodged all their attacks. The skill he had obtained, Combo Slash, allowed him to take down 4 players with just a few basic strikes. Once he understood how it worked, he quickly eliminated 16 more players, with his experience points and contributions rising steadily. Through CC, he learned that other players could see his position. To quickly reach the goal of killing 1,000 players, he unleashed his full strength, drawing more players to his location. As they arrived, Lu Li continued attacking, eliminating all the targets within his range, causing the number of dead players to climb. After realizing he had already killed a significant number, Lu Li stopped and found a branch to rest. Unfortunately, there was no way to collect the equipment dropped by the players, which felt like a waste. Suddenly, a young man appeared, intending to loot all the equipment. This was the same young man who had appeared at the beginning of the story. With prey practically delivered to him, Lu Li didn't hesitate and immediately lunged at him, sending the young man straight to his demise. The young man, nearly ready to log out, kept talking, which caused Lu Li to lose interest in replying. Just as he was about to move to another area in search of more prey, a large group of players arrived to hunt the boss. Seizing the opportunity, Lu Li used his new skill as if playing a fruit slicing game, and the number of players he killed quickly increased to 444. However, he still felt that wasn't enough. Remembering his younger brother, Lu Li sent his coordinates to A Fai, telling him to come alone. A Fai thought Lu Li was giving him a set of equipment, but instead, Lu Li gave him a massive pile of gear. When the young man saw the sheer amount of equipment, his face dropped, and he helplessly muttered, "Damn it." The virtual world. A player had just successfully defeated a level 15 epic boss. This player was Luna, a level 18 Moon Knight, with evenly distributed stats of 60. Her reward was a level 15 ring that provided resistance to mental attacks. This was the first time Lu Li had seen a player defeat an epic boss, so he immediately ordered Cece to gather information about her. To summarize, the Moon Knight had dual attributes, balancing physical damage and magic power. While resting, Luna sensed someone watching her. Before she could react, 3 men appeared. Recognizing their intent, Luna coldly asked, "Are you trying to rob me?" One of the men, already unattractive, claimed he only wanted to borrow something and also asked for her WeChat. Luna challenged them, saying, "If you have the guts, come and take it." Immediately, Two of the men drew their weapons and slowly advanced toward her. But with a single strike of her sword, Luna defeated them, causing them to fall. The last man, trembling, tried to boast about himself. But before he could finish, Luna swiftly swung her sword and killed him instantly. At this point, she was more certain that someone was watching her. Lu Li, who had been observing, decided to reveal himself. He jumped down from a tree, and the two faced each other. Luna thought he might be a hidden boss, while Lu Li considered that confronting her could result in more losses than benefits. Eventually, they both decided to fight. Without saying a word, they both charged at each other. However, just as the battle was about to begin, unexpected trouble arrived. The guild of the three men returned for revenge on Luna, and at the same time, a bounty hunter team appeared, hunting Lu Li as a boss. Realizing the situation was unfavorable, Luna and Lu Li immediately teamed up to face their common enemies. Lu Li rushed toward the guild, while Luna headed toward the bounty hunter team. They led the two factions to clash with each other, creating chaos. During the chaos, Luna and Lu Li secretly launched surprise attacks, quickly eliminating most of the enemies. The remaining survivors, panicking, began to fight each other, no longer distinguishing between allies and foes. Taking advantage of the confusion, Lu Li used his skill, Thunderstrike, a lethal blow that killed all the remaining enemies. With this move, the number of players he had defeated reached 999. To complete his mission, he only needed to eliminate one more player, and his final target was Luna. Without hesitation, the two engaged in a fierce battle. After a final collision, Lu Li defeated Luna and completed the mission. After Luna was defeated, she returned to the real world. Beside her stood an older maid, who informed her that her grandparents had summoned her for dinner. Luna replied that she wasn't hungry and told them to eat without her. She coughed as she recorded her thoughts about the game, suspecting that the boss might be a high-level AI with intelligence. Lu Li completed the Kill 1000 Players achievement and received a mythical item as a reward, the Earrings of the Eternal God. This item allowed the user to change their race and gain the passive traits of the new race. Additionally, he earned 1000 contribution points, leveled up to 21, and unlocked a new skill, Paralytic Fury Ring. As he stepped onto the stage, Lu Li was met with loud cheers. Both MC Rabbit and MC Turtle congratulated him for completing the Feng Yun trial, defeating 1000 players, and achieving an impressive result. Lu Li's prominence caused Zhang Weishui to angrily leave, furious about the outcome. Meanwhile, Wu Yu appeared satisfied. Lu Li, though reluctantly, considered that he hadn't embarrassed her. Afterward, she smiled and told him to follow her. Their destination was Blood Moon City, where there was a special secret area called Blood Pool. Observing his surroundings, Lu Li felt that the events since the start of his hidden mission had been completely unexpected. There, they discussed the Blood Cauldron, a name that referred to those who, despite being the same level, could overpower others due to their bloodlines. Just like how equipment has different qualities, people with different bloodlines have vastly varying attributes. However, Lu Li's bloodline was the weakest. This area, related to breaking through bloodline attributes, was one of the secret places controlled by Wu Yu. She pointed at the blood pool and told him to choose the area he wanted to jump into. This area was meant for bloodline breakthroughs, but how far he could evolve would depend on his luck. At this moment, in Blood Moon City, on Northern Moon Street, Zhang Weishui was still seething from losing a piece of flesh in his hand. He was furious because, if not for the useless member of the feral beast tribe, he wouldn't have lost face. However, the strategist didn't see this as a bad thing, since saving that person meant the feral beast tribe would be more submissive to Zhang Weishui. Seeing Zhang Weishui struggling to swallow his anger, the strategist proposed a dirty plan. Although they couldn't do anything to Wu Yu, there was a way to provoke her. By now, everyone could tell that their new target was to ambush the protagonist. Hearing this, Zhang Weishui sneered and agreed to follow the strategist's plan. Back at the blood pool, Wu Yu noticed that Lu Li's bloodline absorption speed was very fast, indicating his great potential. Just as she was relaxing, a group of soldiers unexpectedly arrived to see her. The guards from the city lord's mansion delivered an urgent summon from the city lord, demanding her immediate presence in the capital city. Wu Yu, feeling annoyed, said she would go when she was free. The messenger, however, handed her the blood summon order from the city lord, which she could not refuse. With the blood summon order, the recipient had no choice but to immediately meet the city lord, or face certain death. Reluctantly, Wu Yu left, But before she did, she warned Lu Li, "Sometimes stones will fall. Be careful not to get crushed." When the messenger saw that Wu Yu had left, he secretly smirked, knowing that Zhang Weishui's plan had succeeded halfway, as Lu Li was still in the process of breaking through his bloodline. The ambushers had already positioned themselves, preparing to strike. Zhang Weishui had set up his Shadow Legion to ambush Lu Li. Once he was sure Wu Yu had left, a dozen men with swords simultaneously charged at Lu Li. Lu Li shattered the blood pool around him, his red, icy eyes signaling that a bloody battle was about to begin. From Wu Yu's perspective, when she agreed to follow without any resistance, the guide soldier found it curious. He never expected her to be so obedient just from seeing the blood summon order. However, he didn't realize that everything was part of Wu Yu's plan. As they walked, she suddenly stopped and casually sat down, as if she were watching a play. The soldier, with a frown, asked what she meant by this. But she didn't respond, thinking to herself that this spot was perfect for observing everything around her. Meanwhile, on Lu Li's side, Zhang Weishui's Shadow Legion had attacked him. As they struck, they were stunned to see a vortex form around him. When the vortex disappeared, he appeared in human form. The soldiers exchanged confused glances. They were sure they had hit him. Yet he was still standing. Without hesitation, they launched another attack. However, Lu Li remained calm, not bothering to defend himself, only focusing on observing his own body. This sent a warning signal to the attackers. But it was already too late. With a single wave of his hand, Lu Li decapitated them, sending them to the ground before they could even make a will. The leader was stunned, unable to comprehend what had just happened. He shouted, "The intel was wrong," and ordered the remaining soldiers to follow the second strategy. This time, the surviving soldiers rushed forward in unison. But before they could get close, Lu Li crushed their internal organs from a distance. The leader didn't even realize when Lu Li severed his arm. In desperation, he recalled the brainwashing words from Zhang Weishui's people. Refusing to back down, he used a forbidden technique. He ordered the remaining soldiers to sacrifice themselves, offering their souls and power to him. Empowered by their sacrifices, he charged toward Lu Li with renewed confidence. At this moment, Lu Li calmly put on the earrings of the eternal god and charged toward his opponent. But as he got closer, his body began to disintegrate. Half of it reverted to his original mummified form. Seeing this, the leader grinned arrogantly, thinking he had the upper hand. As he launched his attack, Lu Li completely transformed into a skeleton. However, as the saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. Lu Li easily dodged the attack and decapitated the leader in one swift strike. His body immediately reverted to human form. As soon as the battle ended, Wu Yu appeared, clapping her hands in praise. It seemed Lu Li had gained a lot from the Feng Yun trial. She confirmed that the assassins who attacked him and led her away were all from Zhang Weishui's faction. The ones who had accompanied her earlier were now gone. Sent away. As she put it, being lured away was actually the second test for him. At this moment, Wu Yu's attention shifted to something else, Lu Li's nudity. After a few seconds of stunned silence, Lu Li realized he was naked and quickly covered himself. Wu Yu, satisfied by his embarrassed reaction, promised to grant one of his wishes. However, the young man only wanted information about her disciple, Han Yi Tiao. Upon hearing this, Wu Yu sighed and said, "He is no longer with us." Her words stunned Lu Li. He asked, his voice deep with emotion, what happened. Seeing his determination, she decided to tell him everything she knew. But first, he had to answer her question. Ever since he had heard Han Yi Tiao's name, Lu Li had been paying close attention to Wu Yu. He had made an effort to show off to attract her attention, all in order to get close to her and gather information about her disciple. Lu Li openly admitted that his relationship with Han Yi Tiao was that of brothers. The story then shifted to the past at XX Welfare Institute, where Lu Li and Afai were frequently bullied. One time, the older children stole the only stuffed rabbit that Afai's mother had left for him. Despite Afai's pleading, the bullies not only refused to return the rabbit, but also tore it to shreds. Lu Li was furious. He pulled out a sharp object, ready to fight, but before he could act, a boy appeared behind him and struck the leader with a broomstick. He then beat the other bullies, causing them to flee in fear. Afai excitedly praised the boy, calling him handsome, while Lu Li was curious about who he was. The boy introduced himself as Han Yi Tiao, promising to protect both Afai and Lu Li. From then on, the three became a family. with Han Yitiao being the closest person to Lu Li. After hearing the story, Wu Yu reflected on the memories of her disciple, Han Yitiao. She recalled how he often spoke about his two younger brothers, repeatedly asking for better equipment, claiming that as the older brother, he had to bring the best for his two younger siblings. Wu Yu informed Lu Li that Han Yitiao had disappeared because of the endless prison. After winning 10 consecutive battles in the Feng Yun arena, Han Yitiao entered the Feng Yun trial as usual, but he never returned. Wu Yu spent a long time investigating and discovered that the last place Han Yitiao was seen was the endless prison. Unfortunately, even though she wanted to search for him, Wu Yu was unable to reach that place. It was blocked by an unknown force, and she could not enter. Refusing to give up, Lu Li summoned Cece to investigate information about the endless prison. However, after a while, the screen reported a failed investigation due to incorrect data. Realizing this, Lu Li decided to search the database himself. He calmly performed a series of operations, reminding himself to think carefully. The endless prison definitely held the answers he needed, as it was the last place his brother had appeared in the game and the last time he logged off. After entering the password, Lu Li accessed the database. However, when he tried to retrieve the code for the endless prison, he was stunned. He had no idea what this code meant. As he was still trying to figure it out, the system issued an unauthorized access warning and logged him out. Lu Li attempted to open the source code, but he was unsuccessful, receiving continuous notifications that the source code was duplicated. Finally, the system forced him out of the database. Wu Yu had told him everything she knew, and if he didn't believe her, she suggested he go and find out for himself. Hearing this, Lu Li decided to go to the endless prison to investigate. But before he left, he asked her, "How can I reach that world?" Wu Yu replied that she only knew the Feng Yun trial had a time limit. Han Yitiao had evolved twice in the blood pool but still couldn't return, let alone Lu Li in his current state. Cece, who was standing beside them, spoke up, saying she knew how to reach the player's world. However, she didn't explain the details, only telling Lu Li to follow her. Trusting Cece, Lu Li informed Wu Yu that he had a way to get to the player's world. Seeing her confusion, he clarified, "It's the world you mentioned, the one on the other side." Intrigued, Wu Yu decided to stay and wait for good news from him. Meanwhile, on Afai's side, his monster hunting journey was progressing smoothly. Afai had leveled up to level 23 and earned the title of Explosive Flame Mage. With his lively and somewhat generous personality, he quickly attracted the attention of many girls. Surrounded by beautiful women, Afai lost all sense of reason, readily selling off all his looted items to buy new equipment for them. However, his joy was short-lived. While Afai was enjoying himself, a group of people suddenly surrounded him. The leader, flexing his wrist, assessed Afai as a prime target. Afai immediately told the girls to stay behind and protect themselves. But little did he know, the beautiful women he was protecting were actually betrayers. In the blink of an eye, they attacked Afai from behind, catching him off guard. The girls revealed their true nature and introduced themselves as members of the Dean Back Guild. Collaborating with the group that had surrounded him, the three beautiful girls in the game were actually three men in real life. Realizing he had been tricked, Afai was furious. They might deceive him for money, but they certainly shouldn't deceive him like this. While Afai was injured, two members of the group rushed in to attack, confident that Afai wouldn't be able to fight back. However, they didn't expect that even injured, Afai's strength remained intact. Within a few moves, he had taken down 5 of them. Yet, they were too numerous, and Afai's strength began to wane. Taking advantage of Afai's weakened state, the two girls teamed up to ambush him. Afai grew increasingly exhausted, and the only healing potion he had was used earlier on someone else. They forced him to hand over the time-limited equipment he had acquired from a boss, threatening that without it, he would die. In this game, when a player dies, they respawn after a short time but lose some items and experience. Faced with their threats, Afai raised his middle finger and cursed at them, causing a nearby flock of birds to scatter in fear. Enraged, the leader swung his sword directly at Afai. Unable to resist, Afai stood still, silently apologizing to his elder brother, Lu Li. But just as the leader's sword was about to strike, a shadow suddenly appeared. In the blink of an eye, the leader was relentlessly attacked and fell without the chance to fight back. The person who appeared was none other than Lu Li. His eyes gleamed with killing intent as his cold voice echoed, "None of you will escape." Afai immediately recognized his second brother. He stood there, stunned for a few seconds. Then joyfully shouted, "It's really you, bro." Looking at his younger brother, Luli sighed in exasperation. "I've been gone for such a short time. And you've already gotten yourself into this mess." Hearing that, Afai switched to his whiny mode, hugging Luli's leg and crying while complaining about everything that had happened. The group surrounding them quickly realized that the newcomer was Afai's second brother. They guessed he must have a lot of money too, so they eagerly rushed to attack him. Seeing this, Afai quickly planned to retreat, leaving the matter to Luli. However, as he turned, he saw the entire Dean Back Guild being wiped out, their equipment scattered. Seizing the opportunity, Afai turned back to settle scores with the three girls who had deceived him, both for their money and their equipment. Even though their true identities as men were exposed, the girl with purple hair still tried to use her beauty to manipulate him. Although Afai wasn't very smart, he had no intention of engaging in any swordplay. He made it clear that the three of them wouldn't escape his grasp. The Dean Back Guild was now disbanded, and Afai, excited, threw his arm around Luli's shoulder. Chatting casually, Luli, with a serious expression, told him that the last place their eldest brother had appeared was the Endless Prison. However, this location wasn't part of the game's plans and could only be speculated to be an ultra-high-level hidden replica. With their current strength, the two of them were far from capable of reaching it. Luli decided to first head to a nearby town to prepare some equipment and supplies. At Nakaida town in the south. On the way, Luli bluntly rejected a friend request while Afai went around asking for information about girls. At the equipment shop, some players were disappointed by the low prices offered. But when it was Luli's turn, the shopkeeper was shocked to see the high-quality items and quickly sealed the deal for 95,000 gold. Afai's eyes widened at the large sum. However, instead of agreeing immediately, Luli complimented the shopkeeper's hairstyle, causing the shopkeeper to become so excited that he increased the offer by 10%. It seemed the hairstyle, which resembled that of a programmer in real life, had a high resale value. After the transaction, Afai gained the title, Huge Fortune, attracting the attention of everyone nearby. The two brothers continued selling their purple tier equipment at the auction house. This was Afai's first time in such a grand place. When someone interviewed him about how it felt, Afai simply laughed and said there were too many people. Outside, hundreds of people were crowded together, trying to get inside. At that moment, a young boy asked the two gatekeepers for permission to enter the auction. But they outright refused, mocking him for being from the countryside. They called him a waste of time standing there. Seeing this, Luli and Afai stepped forward and brought the boy inside. Recognizing Afai's title of Huge Fortune, the two gatekeepers quickly bowed and opened the door, welcoming the brothers inside. Once inside, the three of them parted ways. The boy thanked them before excusing himself. A woman in a black dress appeared, introducing herself as Hong Dao Wheat, the one who would welcome them. She handed Afai a black VIP card and explained the benefits, such as reduced commissions and the ability to borrow money from the auction house. Seizing the opportunity, Afai flirted, asking, "So does this card give me the privilege of entering your heart?" Hong Dao looked stunned, while Luli stood beside them, face-palming in exasperation. Suddenly, a figure in the distance caught Luli's attention. After receiving the black card, Hong Dao invited Luli and Afai into a private room to ensure maximum safety and privacy. She informed them that their epic gear would be auctioned off immediately. Given its rarity and appeal, these items were expected to sell out within an hour. As for the glowing epic sword, Tin Tran, Hong Dao promised to place it in the high-end auction. She also invited both of them to attend the auction. Taking the opportunity, Afai moved closer to Hong Dao and flirted with her. But before he could finish his sentence, Luli gave him a warning knock on the head. The auction began, and the person in charge was Fuang Koije. The first item was Manhwa Kai Tam, a wind weapon capable of extinguishing fire. The starting price was 20,000 gold. It quickly rose to 25,000, then 28,000, and finally 35,000. The person who bid 35,000 was confident that he would win. But just after that, customer number 9 raised the price to 50,000. The reason for such a high bid was to impress his girlfriend. In the end, Manhwa Kai Tam was sold for 50,000 gold. The crowd began to gossip about customer number 9, who was none other than Han Thu, a well-known blacksmith boss. However, Afai couldn't help but find Han Thu unpleasant. The next item was a special cosplay maid outfit with a love theme. The starting price was 30,000. And it quickly went up to 40,000. In the end, customer number 66 won the bid with 48,000 gold. But this person insisted on trying the outfit on right there, much to the astonishment of everyone. Ignoring the MC's instructions, the bulky youth still tried it on, leaving the crowd frozen in shock. As if struck by a spell, both Lu Li and Afai were speechless at the absurdity of the situation. The third item was the wolf stride battle boots. With a starting price of 40,000 gold, Han Thu immediately raised the price to 80,000, surprising everyone and causing the others to retreat. From this point on, Han Thu continued to secure the remaining items with high bids. The other participants started losing interest and left, leaving Han Thu to dominate the auction. Afai was very displeased, but Lu Li reminded him that their gear still depended on Han Thu's help. The highlight of the auction came when the glowing epic sword Tin Tran was brought out. This was a level 20 weapon for warriors, with high attack, critical hit, and superior attack speed. What made it particularly valuable was its rare light attribute, which was a significant advantage for quests at levels 25 to 30. The starting price was 200,000 gold. Han Thu opened the bidding at 250,000, confident that no one would dare to challenge him. However, Afai immediately raised the price to 300,000, attracting Han Thu's attention. He then raised the bid to 350,000. The two of them continued bidding back and forth, and after a while, the price stopped at 500,000. Seeing the price had reached such a high point, and knowing this was a previous event's item, his girlfriend advised him to back off and not buy it. However, what he really wanted was the thrill of a big win, so he raised the price to 600,000. Afai was about to raise it to 700,000, but Lu Li immediately stopped him. Han Thu, smug and sure of victory, thought the deal was already in the bag. But just as the bid was about to close, an anonymous woman raised the price to 1 million. The huge number shocked everyone, and no one dared to continue bidding. The epic sword Tin Tran was finally sold for 1 million gold. After the auction, Lu Li and Afai quickly left. Afai was excited as the total money earned exceeded expectations. In total, they sold 1.52 million gold worth of items, and after deducting expenses, they were left with 1.32 million. After the transaction, the amount on their card changed from 8,988 to 7,450. Afai was shocked to see that there were still many people wealthier than them, lamenting that there were too many wealthy blacksmith bosses. However, Lu Li didn't care much, reminding Afai to focus on completing the main quest. As they were leaving, the girl who had bid 1 million quietly followed them. After leaving the auction, the two brothers continued on their way to the village of Bo Keen Koan Yi. On the way, Afai kept chatting away, but Lu Li remained silent. Walking ahead, when they reached a dense forest, Lu Li suddenly stopped and said loudly, "We're here, come out." Afai was surprised, looking around, and saw a girl emerge from behind. It was the one who had bought the Tin Tran sword at the auction. Afai immediately became alert, guessing that she must have bid so high to block their path and take the sword back. Hearing this, the girl quickly denied it. "Actually, the Tin Tran sword you auctioned is the weapon I lost before. I was just curious how you got it." The image of her fighting Lu Li in her skeletal form appeared in her mind. Afai responded, "The sword was picked up by my older brother after he killed a scheduled boss." After hearing this, the girl realized she had found the right person and immediately rushed to Lu Li. She stopped arguing and instead challenged him, determined to settle their scores. Lu Li coldly refused the challenge and turned to leave, but she wouldn't give up and insisted on testing her strength against him. The two brothers continued their journey, leaving the girl behind. Along the way, Lu Li took the opportunity to explain the mission to Afai. The village was under attack by monsters, and they needed to drive the monsters away. There was a girl in the village known as the Saint Kwang, and the monsters had coveted her for a long time. Their mission was to escort her safely to the Saint Kwang Hall, overcoming numerous waves of monsters. Once they safely delivered the girl to the Saint Kwang Hall, the mission would be complete. Afai, who had an older brother working as a game programmer, felt like he was pressing the ship button. When they arrived at the village, Afai immediately volunteered to clear the way, determined to impress his brother. At that moment, two villagers who were talking as they walked were stopped by Afai, who demanded a fight. The villagers, frightened, hugged each other and called for help. Realizing his mistake, Afai scratched his head awkwardly and explained that he was there to complete a monster-slaying quest. Hearing about the quest and the monsters, the villagers immediately cheered, thinking Afai was the legendary hero. Without giving Afai a chance to respond, they each grabbed one of his arms, fighting to lead him into the village. News spread quickly throughout the village, and all the villagers gathered to greet Afai like a hero. Even the village chief came to personally welcome the two brothers. Afai began to feel uneasy and wondered if the mission had been altered. Lu Li nodded in agreement, but he suspected the important dialogue from the NPCs had remained unchanged. The village chief invited them to a feast, and a grand ceremony was held to welcome the legendary hero. Lu Li wanted to check out the herbal plants in the village, as he had heard they bloomed beautifully, but the elderly man accompanying them urged him to attend the feast first and visit the flowers afterward. Lu Li frowned, realizing that the story had likely been altered. Unable to refuse, the two were led to a banquet table piled high with food. The villagers were already eating ravenously before the guests had even sat down. Like a famine from 1945 in Vietnam, Afai was stunned as the food in the game looked just as appetizing as real life. A villager invited him to try a local specialty, which resembled human eyes, and the villager chewed it loudly, making Afai cringe. Lu Li immediately warned his brother not to eat and to find the NPC to start the quest. Scanning the area, Lu Li quickly spotted a girl sitting with her head down in the corner. He walked over and tapped her on the shoulder, asking, "Do you want to go to the St. Quang Hall?" The girl looked up, her eyes filled with tears, and trembled as she asked, "Is the legendary hero here to save me?" As soon as she finished speaking, the system announced that Mission 2 had been successfully activated. But at that moment, Afai realized something was off. The villagers' gazes had turned cold and terrifying, and they stared intently at Lu Li and Afai. The monsters suddenly grew larger and viciously charged at the two brothers. Lu Li and Afai. The two of them coordinated perfectly, with each strike quickly eliminating the monsters. However, their numbers were overwhelming. Just as one was defeated, another appeared. After a while, all the monsters lay motionless on the ground, but Afai's stamina was quickly running low. The more concerning issue was that the monsters had the ability to regenerate, making the situation harder to control. Logically, the Chu Do Nyan, monster heads, should not have regeneration abilities. Lu Li realized that things were unfolding differently from the original design, and he suspected something had been altered since he left the Tien Men company. If this continued, the three of them would be roasted like pigs on a spit. Using his prophecy skill, he pulled Afai and the girl into a narrow alley. The three of them took shelter in a kitchen to avoid being tracked by the monsters. Afai sighed with relief, but he was immediately silenced by a familiar figure, the Moonlight Knight. Lo Na. She motioned for them to be quiet, as the monsters had not yet gone far. She then led the group upstairs. When asked why she was there, she explained that she was also investigating the village and had arrived earlier than the two brothers. Her uneasy feeling made her wait until nightfall to act, but the brothers had unknowingly disrupted her plan. The group sat in silence, creating an awkward atmosphere. Lu Li spoke up first, expressing his suspicions about what was happening. He asked the girl if she knew the truth. At first, the girl remained silent, but after being reassured by Lo Na, she removed her mask and began recounting her tragic story. The village of both Ap Ko and Yi had once been peaceful, where everyone lived in harmony. However, the surrounding area was inhabited by Chu Do Nyan, which weren't dangerous at first. Villagers could easily avoid them. These creatures not only refrained from attacking the villagers but also often mimicked human actions, making people grow complacent. Everything changed when Knight Greg from the St. Quang Hall came to patrol. He was strong yet kind and organized a prayer ceremony for the villagers. However, during the ceremony, the girl began to feel an odd pain, as though she were being pricked with needles. When she approached Greg, he informed her that she had awakened the Holy Light Domain, a rare gift that occurred once in 1,000 years. Greg told her that she could join the St. Quang Hall, and the village would be protected from monsters. But just as the villagers were rejoicing, the monsters suddenly attacked. They were vicious and numerous, and even though they were defeated, they kept regenerating. Greg sacrificed himself to protect the villagers, but all the villagers were captured, leaving only the girl alive. Her fear prevented her from crying out for help or fleeing. When she had no more tears left, she reminded herself to stay strong and take responsibility because the Holy Light Hall had chosen her. She donned a mask, disguised herself as one of the monsters, and waited for the chance to send a message to the St. Quang Hall. She hoped the Holy Light would once again protect the village. After hearing the story, both Lu Li and Lo Na were deep in thought, while Afai jumped up eagerly, ready to resolve the situation. But just then, a giant eye, as large as a beggar's bowl, appeared behind the girl. The blood-red eyes stared at her through the window. A loud explosion sounded, and the room they were hiding in was completely destroyed. From the debris, a gigantic and brutal monster emerged, quickly grabbing the girl. If she died, the mission would fail. Though reluctant, the three of them had no choice but to charge at the massive monster, as if facing a giant like in the famous Ba Tan vlog. But their attacks barely affected it. The giant monster mocked. So the great warriors are just this weak. Afai, feeling frustrated, muttered, not only is this monster huge, but it also regenerates fast. Who can defeat that? Lu Li quickly devised a plan, instructing Afai to support him while he attacked. Afai used his fireball skill to create 2 fireballs and threw them at the monster's eyes. The monster roared in anger, clearly frustrated by its limited vision, but it still didn't release its grip on the girl. Taking advantage of the moment, Lu Li charged forward, aiming for the monster's arm holding the girl. He used his backstrike and paralyzing slash skills, striking repeatedly, causing the monster's arm to crumble like mush, forcing it to release the girl. Lu Li reached out to save her, but just then, another group of monsters rushed in from behind. Lo Na quickly used her Starblade strike to eliminate them. She told Lu Li to focus on saving the girl, but as they turned to escape, another wave of monsters fell from above, surrounding them. Lu Li realized something was wrong. The giant monster was actually a combination of several Chu Donyan. Lo Na, noticing the high difficulty of the mission, felt something was off. She guessed that the main objective wasn't to defeat the boss, but to escort the girl safely to the next checkpoint. The group decided to divide the task. Afai would hold off the monsters, while Lu Li and Lo Na chased after the giant monster to rescue the girl. As they pursued it, Lu Li noticed that the Chu Donyan was running surprisingly fast and seemed very familiar with the area. While chasing, the two of them stumbled upon a group of imprisoned people. Lo Na deduced that these were the original villagers, who had been captured and locked up. Without hesitation, Lu Li drew his sword and destroyed the cell, freeing them. However, these people no longer resembled humans, they looked more like monsters, many of them appearing mentally impaired. At this moment, Lo Na suddenly said, "These are all the disasters brought by the Genesis cataclysm." Lu Li was confused, not understanding what she meant. Just as he was about to ask, Afai's scream echoed from a distance. Afai was being pursued by thousands of monsters. Unable to hold them off, he was forced to retreat. Seizing the opportunity, the giant monster carried the girl and fled again. The girl, terrified, thought to herself, "This is the end, I'm about to be devoured." The giant monster carried the NPC girl to a building and loudly scolded Lu Li and his companions for being too slow. Sensing the scent from the girl, it found her incredibly fragrant and was about to bite into her. But just then, the holy light on the girl suddenly flared up, forming a small knife that pierced straight into the monster's eye. The monster screamed in pain and reached out for the girl. However, before its enormous hand could reach her, Lu Li sliced it off with his sword. The monster, shocked, let out a furious roar at the appearance of Lu Li. The scene rewound 15 minutes earlier. Surrounded by a swarm of monsters, Lu Li threw a blue potion to both Afai and Lo Na. After drinking the invisibility potion, the three of them were able to evade detection by the monsters for 5 seconds. After they managed to escape, Afai asked what the next plan was. Lu Li prioritized finding the NPC girl and completing the mission. There were 2 major problems to address: the Chu Donyan, monster heads, and the one that had taken the girl. Since the mission wasn't following the usual rules, they would have to take an unconventional approach. He devised a plan, which required Afai and Lo Na's cooperation. Outside, one of the Chu Donyan was distracted while eating when it suddenly noticed a familiar figure, Lu Li, disguised as one of its own kind. He sat down and casually chatted with the monster to gather information. Lu Li intentionally fed it the wrong location for the monster's gathering. Upon hearing this, the monster corrected him, providing the accurate location. Right after, Afai blew up a house, making the monsters believe he had rescued the girl, prompting them to chase after him. Back to the present, Lu Li swung his sword, cutting down the kidnapper and successfully rescuing the girl. However, the Chu Donyan continued to relentlessly pursue them. The group's plan was to leave the village as quickly as possible. As they reached the edge of the village, A massive monster had already set up an ambush from above, waiting for the perfect moment to attack. But the group quickly buffed themselves and drank agility potions, increasing their movement speed. This allowed them to narrowly dodge the giant monster's attack. After running desperately, as though being chased by dogs, the three of them finally managed to escape from both Ap Ko and Yi village. Just when they thought they were safe, the giant monster didn't give up and continued to lead the Chudo Nyan in pursuit as they chased them outside the village. In this critical situation, Lu Li and his group had no choice but to keep running. Triggering a thrilling chase, the Chudo Nyan disregarded all obstacles, relentlessly following them. Fortunately, Lo Na noticed a strange duck in the forest. The duck, fast as if it had a jet engine, helped the group speed past the Chudo Nyan, leaving them far behind. After escaping, the group bid farewell to the duck and continued on their journey. As they passed by a scenic lake, the NPC girl suggested stopping to enjoy the view. At first, Lu Li remained silent, but both Afai and Lo Na agreed, so they decided to take a break. It would take around 30 minutes for the Chudo Nyan to catch up. After calculating the time, Lu Li agreed to rest for 15 minutes. They all relaxed by the lake, with the girl happily playing with Afai. Noticing that Lo Na seemed deep in thought, the girl approached and prayed with holy light, hoping to cheer her up. Suddenly, the image of Lo Na's parents appeared before her mother extending a hand to her with a loving smile. They called her affectionately, Tiu Wei, don't just stand there. Today, Dad is taking us to your favorite park. The sweet memories overwhelmed Lo Na, and she began to cry. The NPC girl, startled, immediately apologized, thinking she had done something wrong. But Lo Na smiled and thanked the girl for helping her recall those happy memories. Seeing this, Afai became curious and asked the girl to do the same for him. The girl agreed cheerfully and asked him to extend his hand. As she prayed, an image appeared before Afai, his three brothers eating together. Lu Li and Han Yi Tiao took turns filling Afai's bowl with food. Surprised by the scene, Afai quietly ate while listening to his brother's casual chatter. The sight moved him deeply, and he couldn't hold back his tears. In the real world, the NPC girl approached and asked if he was okay. Afai quickly wiped his tears and ran off, saying it was just because he was hungry. Lu Li sat quietly on a tree, deep in thought, watching his younger brother jump into the river for no apparent reason. Despite her fear of heights, the girl climbed up the tree to talk to Lu Li. She asked if he was upset, but he declined to discuss the memory. The girl then shared her own sad story, how she had grown up without parents and blamed herself for not praying hard enough to prevent the misfortunes in the village. Lu Li patted her head and reassured her that she had done very well, adding that if he were her age, he might not have been as brave. The girl asked if she could protect others in the future, just like him. Lu Li thought back to the past with his two brothers and assured her that she could. After their break, the group continued their journey. As they walked, the girl suddenly tugged at Lu Li's sleeve. Blushing, it seemed she had developed a crush on him. Just then, a system notification echoed. Escort the NPC girl to the St. Kwang Hall. With the help of the hall, defeat the Chu Vong. If the NPC is stopped or the Chu Vong are not defeated, the mission will fail. In a critical situation, Lo Na tried to hold off the monsters, but the group was forced to run for their lives. The mission completion notification arrived just as the Chu heads caught up with Lu Li's group. The number of monsters kept increasing. Their regeneration rate was faster, and prolonged combat became unsustainable. When they were 50 kilometers away from the Holy Light sect, Afai, exhausted, opened a vial of energy replenishing medicine. However, just as he opened the vial, a Chu head got close and was about to attack him. Realizing the danger, Lu Li quickly warned Afai to duck and threw his dagger to kill the monster. But the monster immediately regrew its head and turned to attack him. The final counterattack from the creature injured Lu Li. Afai immediately turned to assist, and the two worked together to defeat the monster. With no time to treat Lu Li's wound, he urged the group to run faster. The group continued, and when they were 20 kilometers away from the Holy Light sect, they encountered a narrow mountain gap. Afai hesitated because of the cramped terrain, but Lo Na assessed that the narrow space would slow the Chu heads down. However, Lu Li felt something was off when he noticed the number of pursuing monsters seemed to decrease. In the end, the group decided to enter the crevice, with the Chu heads trailing behind. After running for a while, it felt like they were being chased by dogs. The group was only 15 kilometers away from the Holy Light sect, and the pressure from the Chu heads had significantly reduced. Based on Lo Na's observations, Lu Li estimated that the number of monsters had decreased by 60%. However, he warned that they needed to speed up because there could be an ambush ahead. As they neared the exit, just 6 kilometers from the Holy Light sect, a massive shadow suddenly appeared, blocking their path. The situation became extremely tense, with the Pig King in front and hundreds of smaller monsters behind. Lu Li reassured the NPC girl not to be afraid and told her to stay behind them. The Chu heads surrounded the group, forcing them to engage in a final battle. Lu Li, Afai, and Lo Na fought together to fend off the monsters, while the NPC girl tried to stay calm, telling herself that the Holy Light sect would protect her. Meanwhile, at the Holy Light Palace, the sect leader was discussing how to strengthen the Holy Light sect to fight against the darkness. Upon hearing that a group of Chu heads had gathered in the Eastern Canyon, he became furious and ordered the army to be sent. However, when the NPC arrived at the Holy Light sect, still wearing the pig mask, she was mistaken for a member of the Dark Forces. The sect leader, enraged, was about to deal with her on the spot. The NPC quickly removed the mask and pleaded for help, explaining that she was the body of the Holy Light sent from Bush Coal Village. She told him how she had escaped the Chu heads with the help of 3 brave warriors and begged him to save them. The sect leader, however, was only concerned with whether she was truly the body of the Holy Light. After confirming her story was true, he smiled and lifted her up, though a flicker of malice was evident in his eyes. He asked her if she would be willing to become part of the Holy Light, to help shine light on even more darkness. Back in the canyon, Lu Li, Afai, and Lo Na were fighting to exhaustion. Lu Li realized that the NPC had disappeared, and the group feared she might have been captured by the pig-headed creatures. But Lo Na thought it was more likely that the girl had managed to run to the Holy Light sect. The Chu heads also realized she was no longer with them and stopped attacking the trio. Even the Pig King screamed angrily before running off. The group made up their minds to reach the Holy Light sect first, hoping the girl was safe. When they arrived at the Holy Light Palace, the scene before them shocked them. The NPC girl was being devoured by the very sect leader they had trusted. His mouth was covered in blood and remnants of her, and he was gnawing on her head. It was a horrifying sight, and the author had taken the story in a dark direction.